we saw Method Black's comp. What do we think about that, Subatiz?
I'm wondering what they were. Usually, you
I think
pick
they-
Frosty K. You were expecting a cleave. So,
I think they were trying. Honestly, I think they were trying to counter the Fire Mage Warrior. And
Really,
and-
with Frosty K?
Yeah, you just sit on the mage the whole game. It's difficult. For me.
I'm not sold that it would counter. I feel like the Warrior just chases the Mistweaver then, and then you're never stacked.
All right, well, we'll soon see what their plan is with this Windwalker DK comp versus Wildcard Gaming with their Shaman Mage. It is game 1 of our top 2 seeded teams.
I think Shaman Mage is heavily favored in this. Almost any double spellcaster into Frosty K, it's incredibly difficult. They did fortunately go with a Windwalker instead, so they will have the opportunity for grip leg sweep goes, but as long as Looney, Morrow, and Zeepai stand maximum distance from each other, they can outrange the death grip and kind of just keep the team in a point where they're always taking damage and they can never get their death grip stun. So I really want to see Wildcard Gaming with max distance positioning the entire match, never get too close together, and just focus out their, or max out their damage while doing so.
Yeah, so I mean, for Morrow and Zeepai, it's going to be about avoiding those setups like you were kind of talking about, Sid. I really do feel like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this. I think Wildcard Gaming, they definitely won the blind pick. I think they were expecting a cleave like this, because traditionally Mistweaver cleaves do pretty well into the Warrior Mage Mistweaver comp. So Method Black trying to counter Wildcard Gaming's initial pick, and Wildcard Gaming just 2 steps ahead and managed to pick up this really, really good composition. Morrow by himself should be able to survive through this damage. I think Looney should be able to heal through this. Zeepai can create some good pressure and support Morrow on that Fire Mage, but I think this is going to be one of those games where it's Waz, Swapsy, slowly but surely trying to take down Morrow, but it could definitely take a little while. And we're actually seeing spite trinkets implemented here. Maybe they're just trying to force the blink. Maybe Morrow's really, edging at that 38, 39% corruption, and just a single spite could be what pushes them over the edge. So maybe not the worst decision here by Method Black, but definitely a bit peculiar.
They've had good.
Yeah, we're gonna see if they can make anything happen. They did get Morrow's trinket there. Morrow also used his combust, and you can see on Morrow's cooldowns that arched up delirium combo from Swapsy is making all of his spells have a massive long recharge time. So let's see if he can get a greater Pyroblast out. It looks like he's going to connect it. Zeepai with beautiful stun there from his pet. Gets a Hex onto Waz. Another greater Pyroblast connects Swapsy in huge trouble. Chaz is in a sleep right now, but he should be able to come out there and heal Swapsy out. And Death Strike is the thing that healed Swapsy for 40% of his HP right there, and it is based off of how much damage you just took. So Death Strike definitely, when you take a massive hit as a DK and you use it right after, it also is going to give you a massive heal. They had a disarm in that situation. It could have just been the game there onto Swapsy, but nonetheless, Method Black don't have a lot of cooldowns left on that DK now.
I think they're trying to bait Morrow to blink with Spite, and then if he blinks, they can do a Death Grip go. So they grip Morrow in. They do a ton of damage. He's been just sitting in that corruption. I don't think Looney went Tiger's Lust. I feel like a lot of teams were thinking there's no way anyone plays Spite, but Waz getting counter-aggressed here, Karma and Fort Brew, but Morrow gets bursted by the Drestagath. Cauterized going to trigger. He's on the run. Both sides trading some pretty important cooldowns early on between the teams. And I'm wondering if maybe Looney will regret not going that Tiger's Lust, because Spite right now is currently not stacking. So a lot of teams have opted to just totally stop playing it, but it looks like Method Black have decided to run it, and it's looking very effective. It's going to get them a nice block here, only 3 minutes in.
I love it. Honestly, this is genius by Method Black. I mean, Morrow, his mobility is going to be very limited on that Fire Mage with the Frost Death Knight, using the Heartstop Aura, the Delirium, and with Morrow constantly overcorrupted the entire game. It may not seem like that big of a deal, but those Eye of Corruption stacks, they start really adding up. If Morrow gets unlucky and if you proc in a row, once you're at 10, 11, 12 stacks of Eye of Corruption, that additional damage ends up mattering quite a bit, especially in a matchup like this.
Out of Polymorph here onto Waz, looking to see if he can maybe get something going here on tomorrow. They did just use a Spite, so basically the strat from Method Black is get on tomorrow, maybe stun him up, drop a Gladiator Spite, and then if he blinks, Gotta get tomorrow again, drop another one, and they just want to keep staggering them like that. And the reason is because Spite right now is kind of nerfed. You can't stack it. They are changing that. I do believe maybe it's a bug that's getting fixed, but that's not going to happen until the servers restart. So for this tournament, this is the best way to use Spite. You might be a little confused why people aren't stacking it. So good thing to explain, I think. Maro is going to get knocked back into it, and you can see right now he's getting stunned, and there it is. Things from beyond are starting to spawn.
All right.
Seems good.
That was beautiful. I have to say, Method Black, that was incredibly smart. I mean, they came in with that plan. There's no way Wildcard Gaming was expecting that, and it is back to the drawing board because I don't even know what Maro's going to be able to do. I feel like he's going to have to wear really low corruption, I think, but just having a Spite on you literally the entire game with the way they're rotating it, it's not easy to deal with, and it's not as easy as just, I'm just going to Shimmer out of it, because Shimmer is literally a minute-long cooldown when you have a Frost Death Knight on you. There are some adaptations they can make, like maybe we could see Blizzo go on like a Windwalker monk to try to counter that with Ride the Wind, but I mean, Method Black picking up this game #1, I really like what they came prepared with.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you guys also, before we saw that game play out, it seemed like, generally speaking, you guys thought that maybe Wildcard Gaming had the comp advantage. Super Tees, what about Method Black specifically enabled them to use that Windwalker DK so powerfully against Wildcard Gaming?
It was the Spite trinket, just over-corrupting Maro. Even with only one Spite at a time, it still looked pretty good. The counter to that would be for Looney to run Tiger's Lust. But it might not even be too great with the way they're splitting it up, because you could Tiger's Lust him out of one Spite, and then he's in another Spite, and then there's another Spite after that. I feel like a lot of teams didn't try the staggering strategy so much because it was just expected that you cheesed somebody by holding them in 3 of them at once and 100-0'd somebody, but splitting them up made it so that Maro could basically do nothing. Like, he's just walking out of Spite. He can't cast Poly, he can't cast Greater Pyro. He's just walking, and Zeepai's not going to solo anything while that's happening. If he doesn't get out of the corruption stacks, then they do eventually become a problem for him, ultimately why he died. So staggering them like that against the double spellcaster was a good way to overcome the disadvantage that the Frost Death Knight normally would have in a matchup like that. It was really effective for them, and it could work. It should work into the Warrior Mage comp as well. So Wildcard Gaming, maybe they go to the Boomkin Ellie instead, so that they don't have a mage that's just waddling. They'll have a Ghost Wolf in a travel form.
Yeah, we'll have to see soon what Wildcard Gaming decides to do about Method Black's Windwalker DK here. It is their map choice currently. Zico, do you have any idea of maybe what they're going to try and do going into this game too?
I like the idea of Boomkin Ellie. It depends on what Method Black are going to decide to lock in on the blind. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I want to see from Method Black on the blind. Maybe Mage Lock is just, a pretty good answer into anything that Wildcard can do. But it honestly depends on map, and it depends on comps here. But if we saw that exact same matchup, I think Boomkin Ellie would be a little bit better answer. Just because Moonkin can shift out of the snares. He's going to be extremely tanky as well, and you're going to have those big hits that you can use with those Star Surges. So their Moonkin Ellie always looks kind of solid. They could also swap to a different healer. If you had a Paladin, for example, with Maro, I think it would be a lot more effective at negating those spites, just because Blessing of Freedom is a direct counter to it.
Mm-hmm. So Wildcard Gaming, they have locked in Dalaran Sewers Ven. Does that give us any more of an idea of maybe what their tactic is here?
Dalaran Sewers. What do Wildcard Gaming want to do?
They don't want to go against Mage Lock.
Yeah, I guess I don't want to play against the Mage Lock of Method Black. I wonder what Method Black's going to do. I wonder if they could just lock in the Windwalker Death Knight once again. A lot of the compositions Wildcard Gaming have kind of revolve around, Maro. I guess they do have the Thunder. That's something that could be an option for Wildcard Gaming against the Windwalker Death Knight. I don't think Method Black could, replicate that strategy at all against an Elemental Shaman Warrior. So yeah, the blind pick from Method Black, what is it going to be? I think their safest blind pick is the Mage Lock, and that's probably why they went to Dalaran Sewers, just to try to avoid that situation, or at least give them some options against that comp.
So that Windwalker DK comp, that's only, I mean, you guys touched on it a little bit during that game. Spy Trinket is going to get some changes next week. Is this a comp that that we're going to continue to see them playing, or is it just working so far right now against Wildcard Gaming because of the current state of that trinket?
I think it just gets better. I don't think it gets worse.
Really?
I think it just gets better. I mean, it'll stack, so if they stagger them, but overlap them maybe slightly, it'll just continue ramping it higher. I feel like that's something Method Black can do now every time.
I think it's actually more annoying to deal with it staggered, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you can just trade one life cocoon or whatever when it's stacked, and that's that.
Yeah.
But if it's staggered, it's like a consistent.
It's consistent
problem.
damage, yeah. It's consistent damage the whole game, and it's like I
Yeah.
kind of mentioned. If you're getting an Eye of Corruption, okay, that's not that big of a deal. I mean, we did see a few things from Beyond. It was actually things from Beyond that closed out the game with the Drestagas Trinket, but just Eye of Corruption proccing on you the whole game and having to deal with that, it is annoying. And I mean, Maro could run lower Corruption, but yeah, I mean, you're at a big disadvantage if you're trying to go down to 0 Corruption. You have a Windwalker Death Knight training you. Your versatility and overall damage is going to be really, really lowered. So I think Method Black did the right thing. And even when Spite gets changed back to being able to stack it, I mean, it's something they can do, but I feel like I'd be more annoyed if this one was on me the whole game, to be honest.
I don't know who it was, but it was one of the European players who on the live ladder before the current Spite Trinket changes, like didn't run Corruption at all in arena games.
I think a
didn't
lot of
want to
people
deal
probably did that
Yeah.
against Spite. It's really annoying. I mean, if you get over-corrupted, you can just outright lose the game. So sometimes it's better if people are going to spite you, just literally go to 0 Corruption, remove that win condition from them. Yeah, it is a funny dynamic there, and there's certainly a bit of a mind game.
Yeah.
I feel like it's never worth to unequip your corruption. Like, if let's look at it from this perspective. If you could choose to fight against someone who has no corruption, and all you have to do is just not have a trinket, take the trade.
Yes.
Right? Like, the trinket is gonna have like a little bit of impact on the game, but not that much. Whereas the corruption, I feel like, has a massive impact on the game. So I don't know. I've never been a fan of unequipping corruption against Spite.
Yeah.
I think the best thing you can do is just play around it and maybe play with it yourself if it ends up being strong in the meta. Because there are ways to counter it, like, ride the wind and things like that.
So Wildcard Gaming, they've locked in Looney is going to be playing Holy Paladin, Maro on Balanced Druid, and then of course Zibai on Ellie Shaman. Guys, what do we think about this? I think it was Ven, you said you wanted to see Looney maybe on that Holy Paladin.
Well, I want Wildcard Gaming. This is something I expected them to maybe lock in on the blind pick, and it's good against the melee cleaves. And you can tell they really didn't like the corruption because now they have freedom, they have Ghost Wolf, they have Travel Form. And I think it's extremely unlikely we see Method Black even mess around with Spite Trinkets at all. But I think this is a good answer for Wildcard Gaming, especially on this map. They're going to be able to utilize, the upper and lower floor by knocking them off with Thunderstorm. So Zipai's utility might come in clutch here. And for Method Black, I mean, who do we expect them to go after in this match? My question.
I want to see them run at Looney.
Yeah, me too, kind of.
I actually just want to see them just throw caution to the wind and run down the healer.
Well, now that Wildcard Gaming has sort of figured out a way to minimize that Spite Trinket, or to just force them off of maybe playing the Spite Trinket, what do you think Method Black's going to do here in terms of gear?
We'll probably... I mean... You know what I'm going to say. I kind of want to see a Maledict if they don't decide to run down the healer. Just because you have 2 hybrids, so it's pretty high value there. But if they go for Looney, then I don't necessarily. I would still like to see a little Maledict. And actually, for the record, Waz is one of the few players who actually has ran Maledict. So he knows about the value. I'm just putting it out there. But
do you think he's listening to you, or is he making that decision independently?
I mean, he was like my little child, He was a little Gladrogue when I found him in the forest, So, yeah, he's definitely listening to me, obviously. I'm their coach. No, I think he's experimented with it. That's the thing about Method Black, They even when they are winning and they are the team to beat, it's like Cloud9 in NA, they keep looking for ways to improve their gearing, their comp system.
Yeah, Method Black is one of those teams. They're always looking for just like minuscule amounts to, ways of just improving and getting the edge on that competition.
I think one of my favorite, like, most genuine people I've talked to is Swapsy. Swapsy is actually hilarious. It's the way he looks at the game. He said to me many times, he's like, yeah, the way I look at the game is I want to go into matchups where I can play bad and still win. Like, he wants that big of an edge in matchups where he doesn't have to play good to win. And if he can find that, he can get that advantage, they'll definitely work towards it. And I think that's one of the things about Method Black. They're an extremely hardworking team, and that hard work, it definitely shows.
Yeah, it certainly does, given where their placements are right now. But the time is up. They're both in the game. The arena gates will be opening soon. It is Wildcard Gaming down 1-0 against Method Black. We'll see if they have an answer to this Windwalker DK comp.
All right, Maro on the Balanced Druid, Zeepai on the Ellie. This is a comp that they've been utilizing to beat melee cleaves, so I'm pretty sure they have like 100% win rate right now and into the melee cleave matchups with it. So it's likely that this will be very difficult for Method Black. They're able to find victory with the Gladiator Spite Trinket in a matchup that is also typically unfavorable for them, but this one even more so with Looney on the Paladin. Zico, Ven, you think they should just run at Looney the entire game? That would be the classic Windwalker Death Knight strategy. Looks like...
Yeah, I would.
Oh.
I would love that.
Swapsy's build is pretty interesting. Dark Sim. It's usually difficult as a Frost Death Knight to actually get enough honor talents to get everything that you want, but he doesn't need Delirium because there's no blinks on the team to kind of reduce, so going for the Dark Sim means he could steal Cyclone, he could steal Hammer of Justice. I think those are the two major spells he's going to be looking for.
Yeah, let's see if they can get that crowd control. Paralyze on Looney. Nice setup here on Maro on Zeepai. This is the Touch of Death, and Maro and Zeepai actually overlap their trinkets. A bit of a freak out by Wildcard Gaming. Not nearly as calm, cool, and collected as we normally would expect from this roster, but they do manage to survive. But that just means the next setup is going to be a nightmare. I mean, there's no Astral Shift, there's no trinkets. The next time we see Swapsy and Waz look for a big setup with Chill Streak, I think Wildcard Gaming is going to have to use a ton of their defense.
Yeah, I mean, Wildcard Gaming picked this map to bait Method Black into going into a cleave. They didn't want to fight the Mage Lock, but this map actually does give the melee cleave a good opportunity to win.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's going to make it a lot easier for their win condition, which is to try to stack two players up and get that Chill Streak bouncing around. See, they don't have the Blinding Sleet and the Chill Streak right now. Waz going to have his leg sweep coming up in about 6 seconds. You can expect them to leave that pillar very, very shortly. There it is. Grip, double blind. There is a double leg sweep right there. Paralyze onto Looney into a leg sweep. Looney using his human racial. Triple DR. Paralyzed now onto Looney. And that was the entire push. They forced out Looney's human racial. Now they're going to go back behind the pillar. Maro looking for Cyclones. Going to bash up Chest. Not able to find it. Beautiful Ring of Peace. Waz with the denial as well. With that Spearhand Strike. Stopping out all of these Cyclones. Looney activating that Avenging Wrath right now. Just powering his team with big heals while they are pushing in behind the pillar, getting aggressive. Waz in a Cyclone, they're looking to swap it to Chaz. Chaz doing what he can here to avoid CC, avoiding Zeepai. I think Zeepai wants to use his Lightning Lasso as soon as possible, but he's not going to be able to find it just yet. Still looking for it. There it is. Hammer of Justice onto Chaz, into a Lightning Lasso potentially. He's going to trinket that Hammer of Justice, use that Life Cocoon, and there's the Lightning Lasso as well onto Swapsy. Beautiful setup here from Wildcard Gaming, and they pounce back.
Definitely not going to be a completely one-sided matchup by any means. Cyclone now on a Swapsy. Zeepai and Marl still continuing their pressure. Chaz with no trinket. Bit vulnerable if they do decide to set up on him or just crowd control him. You can see Chaz, he's actually playing the Gnome, so he has that Gnome Mistweaver prepared, and that's normally what we see healers do against the Balanced Druids. If he wasn't playing Gnome, it's extremely likely Marl would have been playing, Root Beam, but now he will be implementing that Bash. So just a nice little picks there by Chaz, just min-maxing the racials against their opponents.
But he is running Vitality Conduit, so I think Chaz is the kill target here for Wildcard Gaming. In the meantime, Method Black get a setup onto Zeepai and Maro, both deciding not to use their Gladiators medallions. Frenzy regen for Maro, but Zeepai doesn't have that same healing. Looney's going to have to trade Sacrifice during that assault. and try and pick his team back up. This is where I want to see Wildcard Gaming start to push on top of Chaz. They've got all of their damage lined up here. A full Astral Power Bar. They jump into that Incarnation form. Big damage onto Chaz. He pre-Fort Brews the stun. Really the only reason he's alive, and he might even still die. But that Fort Brew bought him the time to get to the Life Cocoon. He knew he was the target. He saw the situation and was able to prepare for it and keeps his team in the match. Now the teams are going to equalize. There's not really going to be any big threat when there's no crowd control on Chaz. Unless they can find a Cyclone, which looks like it's going to be very difficult. Chaz, Swapsy, and Waz are going to retreat. They're waiting for their Chill Streak before they go for another double stun Chill Streak bounce.
Yeah, and I think they're going to try to do it onto Looney here. If they can do it maybe onto Maro and Looney. Not sure. Chaz actually getting Solar Beam right there on cast. Not going to be able to activate any of his defense. They're just going to do it on both of the DPS. But Looney with a nice Hammer of Justice is going to allow himself to not get leg swept there by Chaz. But beautiful DR Paralyze into another leg sweep right there. It's going to force out Maro's Trinket this push here. Nothing too much going to come out of that. And now once again, Method Black going to go behind the pillar. Try to top themselves up. Looney's going to not be able to push in and get a Hammer of Justice onto Chaz. He doesn't have that spell ready. So normally here they would try to attack Chaz and try to kill him, but they're not going to be able to do so unless Zeepai can get a Lightning Lasso. But with the amount of interrupts on the side of Wildcard or on the side of Method Black, he's not going to be able to find that. So Looney using that Hammer of Justice actually made it so Wildcard couldn't get their push in, and soon Waz is going to have his leg sweep and they're going to go for another Shield Streak combo, so they need to go for it right now. And there it is, Hammer of Justice onto Chaz, going for the Hex there, Zeepai getting interrupted on it, and that's just going to be a pretty poor attempt right there. They kind of had to rush through that, and now Method Black is on the aggressive here, Van.
Yeah, nice Thunderstorm by Zeepai though, and that will kind of diffuse this go. Maro going to be getting bursted down, but it looks like Looney might be able to heal through it. He does get interrupted. Nice interrupt there by Swapsy, denying the heals, but it just seems like with the Bark Skin, Maro's going to be more than durable. Chaz does get Lightning Lasso. Nice interrupt there. Once again, that shuts that down, and both teams have stabilized. The thing is, these setups from Zeepai, they're really, really nice, or these stops. The Thunderstorm, every single time we see Swapsy and Waz try to go for those setups, it just really slows them down and is allowing them to survive without necessarily having to trade out too many of their defensive cooldowns, not even getting Trinket in that last go. We're now marching deeper and deeper into dampening, about 6% at this point, and I kind of wonder who has the edge in dampening. I mean, all four of these DPS, they have a lot of self-sustainability, a lot of self-heals, and I just kind of wonder who's going to come out ahead. Big attempt here onto Chaz. Can they take him down? Lightning Lasso out of the Hammer of Justice. He has enough time to get the Life Cocoon, not even trading out the Trinket. It's an extremely close call there for Chaz, but with good help from Swapsy and Waz, he's able to hold on and not really have to trade out any of his major defensives.
So Maro and Zeepai aren't running Conflict and Strife. I think they're going to be the main focus for Method Black, as Looney is running Conflict and Strife. On the side of Method Black, Chaz is the only one not running Conflict and Strife. I think he's the only main target for Wildcard Gaming overall in this match, and it's just going to be setups like this. Grip and a double Blinding Sleet. If Maro is able to escape as he has, then there's not really going to be any damage found for the team of Method Black. Looney should easily recover. But if Maro or Zeepai aren't able to spread out, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. As soon as they survive that Blinding Sleet Chill Streak, they're immediately going to stun Chaz and try and burst him down in the stun. And it's just going to be rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat until one of the sides ends up making a mistake or dampening gets so high that they just physically can't heal through the amount of damage that is dealt through those exchanges. The way that this is played out, I don't see any other option for either side. Another grip into double stun. Cinder Ghost during this push. They're not able to spread out while they're stun locked, and they're not running conflict. So during that leg sweep, they are going to take a ton of damage. Looney bounces them back with the Avenging Wrath. Now he's resetting his Hammer of Justice, getting ready to utilize that on Chaz. Chaz does not have the Fort Brew at the moment, so if he gets stunned up, he could be in trouble. He does go into that full Hammer of Justice. They switch right over to him. Is he going to get KO'd? Huge damage. He might die through the zone. Lightning Lasso triggers into a full Cyclone. Nice punish by Maro. And on the basis of these trades so far, I would say that Wildcard Gaming are going to have the edge when it comes to kill potential.
Ooh, Chaz getting locked now on cast, but there it is, double Blinding Sleet. Chaz actually using his leg sweep there since Waz didn't have his available. Nice little push there, gonna force Maro's Trinket, but that's the thing, Maro's gonna Trinket now, Zeepai is gonna Trinket the next time, and as long as someone has a Trinket, They're going to rotate through those and not stack up for that chill streak too much. Chaz now, no trinket, no pre-Fort Brew. This is huge here for Wildcard Gaming. If they can get that lightning lasso, it could just be the game, and Zipai gets immediately interrupted right there. Zipai, knowing he was going to get interrupted, actually using his pet stun instead of that lightning lasso, just to make sure that the stun lock does get extended. Heads up play by Zipai, but equally so, a heads up play by Waz, keeping his healer alive with that kick onto that lightning lasso. Would have been enough, I think, because it also stops that Earth Shock, because they're on the same school, so it stops that big Earth Shock from going off as well here for Zipai. But the next time that happens, Chaz could just go down. He needs to try to preemptively Life Cocoon or Vitality or Ford Brew or something. So for Chaz, it's very important to cross the map and try to not make it, to try to get it to telegraph to him when they're going to push the trigger. So Looney needs to try to stay on top of Chaz, because then it's very hard for Chaz to preemptively use anything, because Looney has just been on top of him the whole time. Whereas if Chaz is on the opposite side and Looney runs to him, it's very easy for Chaz to poke out and use the defensive at the same time as he gets hammered. So that's why he's constantly repositioning like this.
Yeah, and it looks like they are going to be making that swap onto Chaz. Can he survive? Hammer of Justice. Where's the follow-up stun? Unfortunately not found. Blind coming in from Swapsy. Paralyzed coming in from Waz, and that completely shuts them down, giving Chaz the one moment he needs. And basically, Wildcard Gaming, if they want to land a kill, it has to be 100-0. They need to absolutely kill Chaz before he can control his character whatsoever. If he gets the Life Cocoon off, that's basically the same as Divine Shield. He will not go down. But now Chaz actually struggling to keep Swapsy alive. He rolls away, and Swapsy will use that anti-magic shell. Tiger's Lust from Waz backing him up as Method Black is on a full retreat.
Yeah, when Dampening gets high, the Death Knight and the Windwalker do become possible targets. They'll be whittled down, and Chaz will have a much more difficult time anticipating attacks on himself if his teammates can also die. Now he's fully stunned into a Cyclone. Swapsy has to trade the anti-magic zone. Fair trade with the Incarnation from Morrow, but its defense will subside. A full Hex slips through, unfortunately breaking to some collateral damage. Vitality Conduit onto Swapsy, but mana is seriously taxed here for Chaz. His entire team getting rotted down as Dampening gets higher and higher, and it doesn't seem like Dampening is paying the same favor for Method Black onto Wildcard Gaming. Full stun lock over onto Chaz. Triple Blinding Sleep by Swapsy, likely a triple leg sweep as well. Morrow trinkets to space away from the team. They Thunderstorm as well to try and disrupt the potential chill streak, but I believe that Swapsy held on to it. Chaz is almost completely out of mana. His entire team is being devastated at the 11-minute mark here. Dark Sim attempt by Swapsy to steal a Cyclone. He's locked down in a Lightning Lasso. Breaks out with the Icebound Fortitude. They stun up Chaz. They're trying to make another swap onto him, and they're just going after everybody on Method Black. Can Method Black hold strong and push them back? They are finally showing signs of life with Looney stunned up, Morrow at half, and Zipai as well. Perhaps they can pull it off. Zipai's in trouble on 10%, refusing to trade the Astral Shift, finally making the trade, and Method Black have shown they have potential. They are not going to be pushed around.
Zipai still on extremely low HP here. Looney greeting that Hand of Sacrifice. He has the Avenging Wrath. Maru throwing out the Cyclones. That Avenging Wrath healing should be enough to stabilize Zipai here. But if they can get another setup going, that could be big. Chaz does have his leg sweep in a couple of seconds. Looking for the paralyzed leg sweep onto Looney potentially. Chaz gonna roll in and do a leg sweep here, I assume. Nice Thunderstorm there by Zipai, the king of LA Shamans. Gonna completely stop that setup before it even happens. And once again, Wildcard Gaming now have that chokehold position that they love to have. Nice Solar Beam into a Hammer of Justice onto Chaz potentially here. Looney's looking for it. Chaz line of sighting beautifully though, waiting for it, and he's not going to be able to get it off that Vitality Conduit, just forcing Looney to hold on to it for a little bit longer. But Zipai is still here in a lot of trouble, getting cycloned on his Blessing of Protection by Swapsy, and now they're pushing Morrow away from that pillar so Chaz can recover the team here then.
Yeah, definitely. Chaz, basically no mana left. In Wildcard Gaming, they are in a bit of a dominant position, but Method Black, they've shown that they can get one nice setup, and they can absolutely decimate the team of Wildcard Gaming. Waz in some trouble. Swapsy as well. Full Hammer of Justice on Chaz. Is he going to trink it out? It looks like they're just going to be going after DPS at this point of the game. Lingering Psychic Shell trades. Waz has nothing left. Unfortunately, gets caught into the Lightning Lasso. Anti-Magic Zone trades, and things are spiraling out of control here for Method Black. Waz desperately doing everything he can to try to stay alive. Chaz connects some heals. Swapsy looking for the counter pressure for his team. They can't just hide behind the pillar. They need to try to find some semblance of damage, and they're looking for the push. Grip on Tomorrow, he trinkets out. Interrupt now onto Chaz, and Waz, once again, he is in so much trouble. Transcendence away to Chaz behind the pillar, but Chaz, I mean, he's just got no mana. Life Cocoon, but that's basically the last line of defense. Waz has to hold on for another 15 seconds on that Touch of Karma.
Oh, Life Cocoon's giving him that time. They're trying to chase Chaz. Looney's after him. He gets the full stun. Swapsy could be in trouble. Lightning Lasso, they need to interrupt this. Lightning Lasso actually breaks from being max ranged, I think. Maybe a mistake by Zeepai. Either way, he gets the full Hex. And with the full Hex, it should be enough to take out Swapsy in game number 2. Wildcard Gaming tying it up.
Oh, man. And he just got AMS back up, too. That's definitely unfortunate from Method Black. And now Wildcard Gaming has tied it up 1-1. And, you know, it looked like they switched their target a couple of times. Chaz almost dying several times. And then Method Black almost turning it around onto Wildcard Gaming. But at the end, it wasn't enough then.
I mean, it definitely wasn't enough. Method Black, they had good counter pressure in the game. Like we said, there was moments where it seemed like they could win, but it's just one of those situations where you're the team that gets to push in, play on top. You kind of dictate the pacing of the match, and I mean, it was just a great counter pick here from Wildcard Gaming. That being said, I mean, this is one of those series. These two teams, they always bring it to, you know, a game 5, a game 7 in the grand finals. So I think it's just going to be trading counter comps essentially on good map picks, and that's really where you can see the strength of these teams. They always have answers for what the enemy team is going to be running, and it could be one of those games where it did come down to the blind pick, and eventually Method Black will be able to just get that secure win on game number 5. So I think for Wildcard Gaming, what's going to be imperative for them is they're going to have to take kind of a risky matchup. When they go into a blind pick, it needs to be a comp that's extremely well balanced, maybe even just a Warrior, Mage, Mistweaver Monk to try to pick up a win, or Thunder, something like that, because they have to get back in the series by winning a swing match. And if they can't, then I think just it's inevitable that Method Black will end up winning this one.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show when you have these really tough, close series, such as this Wildcard Gaming versus Method Black series, and it's kind of a back and forth, they go to game 5, how important it is to win that blind pick, like you were saying, Ben. But Tika, where do they go next from here? What map do they think that they're going to try and counter with? Like, what are their options here?
I think for Method Black, they have a couple of options. They could take it to a large map and just play some Mage Warlock. Or they could take it to a neutral map and just see what wildcard are going to lock in and take it from there. I think they should just set up for the Mage Warlock. I mean, it's a pretty safe bet. Pick Tolvir, play Mage Warlock. There's no Warlock on the other team. What can they do? They're going to play either Boomkin Alley, some melee cleave, Warrior Mage. It's like, I guess they'll play Warrior Mage most likely, but I feel like I don't think Wildcard Gaming should win that matchup.
It looks like they have locked in Tolvaron as well. Oh, also, I gotta address this. I'm getting questions on Twitter and in chat. What's behind me? I have lights and sound panels. So we can move on from that question. They've locked in Tolvaron, Super Tees. So what do you think that this is gonna go now from here? We've got our map choice. What do you agree with what Ven and Zico are saying here?
Yeah. I mean, Wildcard Gaming could try the Spite Windwalker DK too, if they're that worried about Mage Lock, and try and do it into Mage Lock. Okay. I guess they'd have to worry about Method Black just playing Paladin instead. They could actually just play around it too much. This is what you get when two teams have so many different options. They have to go for what's the best middle road comp, and probably Warrior Mage is their best middle road comp, but then Method Black could just throw that Windwalker Death Knight at them again. So their middle road comp is actually Mage Ellie.
There it is.
There it is. I don't know if I like to see it, but
I'm gonna reserve judgment. I feel like I don't like to see it, but it could work.
I wonder if the Paladin would have just straight up been better than the Mistweaver Monk.
For Looney?
Yeah.
Could be. What
Why do
are
you
you
say
thinking
so,
about
yeah?
specifically?
Against the Cleave. If they're, we see the same matchup as we did in game number 1, the Windwalker Frost Death Knight. Just having Blessing of Freedom seems really good.
Do you think they would lock in Windwalker Frost DK on this map, though, if you're Method Black? You see, this is the problem as well. When you take it to a large map and Wildcard Gaming locks in a Wizard Cleave, then you are playing a melee cleave into a Wizard Cleave if you counter them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like if you're Method Black, if Mage Lock really is one of your best comps, and it should be because it's so meta right now, I think this is the time to prove it. This is the time to lock it in. You lock in Mage Lock, You say what's up to the Mage Ellie. You should win that matchup. I mean, let's be honest. You should win that matchup. It's a matchup that's good for the Mage Lock.
You just
We
think on
haven't seen
comps
it that
alone
much,
it's a
but-
better matchup?
Well, this is how this is kind of my reasoning. Warlock is the best caster against other casters because Warlock has the most lockdown, and Warlock has the fastest cast, and Warlocks have the best, passive self healing. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why it's kind of a frustrating thing to go up against a Warlock. So I think if you have one and it's a Wizard Mirror, team with the Warlock should be at a pretty significant advantage.
Well, you'll find out shortly enough what method Black is going to counter with. They've got about 10 seconds left to lock in their composition, and there it is. Swapsy on the lock, Raikou on the Mage. Subatees, what do you think? What do you think now that we're seeing both of these comps?
I'm wondering if Wildcard Gaming can try to do what we saw Diabolus do with their Ellie Warlock. If they can just bully it around. I feel like it's fire and fire, though. It's not that Frost Mage with his tickle attacks, so I don't think you can kind of bully a Fire Mage. If you stand in front of a Fire Mage, he's going to Greater Pyro and say, no, stop. But the Frost Mage is not really able to do that, so I don't know. The Wildcard Gaming's only real move is to just line the Warlock, keep dots up, try and do big combustions, and win with instant cast damage, because they're not going to win with just trades in midfield. They're going to be basically hugging a pillar the entire game.
I don't think this is unwinnable for Wildcard Gaming if they play it right. I think if they play to win, they play very conservative. They use the pillar quite a bit to try to just really lower the damage that Swapsy has available to them. I mean, we saw a game earlier on today that what did it go? 88% dampening on total
89%.
Yeah, and I mean, with that level of dampening, really anything can happen. I think Wildcard Gaming, if they were going to win the swing match, this is one of those maps and this is one of those matchups where it is definitely possible for them, and they could put them back in the series.
Which of these teams is more vulnerable at deep dampening?
That's it. I'm not sure.
I mean, we've never seen it. We're just
Right.
estimating.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we will find out soon. I certainly don't hope it goes again to 89% dampening. I don't know. What do you expect in terms of percentage here for this next game? Can we even predict?
Yes, for
I
sure
wanna-
we can predict.
I think we're gonna see a conservative 64% dampening
60.
before this game is over.
That's so specific.
You know, it's the leaky faucet. You guys, there's a reason why I'm specific.
I respect it.
I think what Ben is saying, though, to just build a little bit on it,
Uh-huh.
I do agree. This is not an unwinnable matchup for Wildcard Gaming. And this is the thing, right? When a small map gets locked in, they make it so it's kind of uncomfortable for Method Black to lock in their melee cleave. And when a big map gets locked in, they also make it a little uncomfortable for Method Black to lock in their Wizard cleave. So Wildcard and Method Black are both great teams at playing from behind when they do lose that blind pick and try to grab a swing match back. And I agree with Van. If Wildcard Gaming wins this game, it's going to be deep into dampening, Maru getting a juicy combustion off, and just, killing somebody with that Ignite Pyroblast spam damage.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can maybe. Wildcard Gaming. We've seen it before. They down a couple of games and they're able to turn it around. So I definitely think as well that they certainly have a chance. Supatis, what do you think though? Is the winning strategy here for Wildcard Gaming? Who are they going to go after to try and sort of control the Fire Mage lock situation we've got?
I mean, they should probably go after the Warlock and Hex Raikou. The main advantage is that the Hex can't be removed. They have Grounding Totem, Wind Shear, Counterspell, high mobility with the Ellie Shaman, so they can just wrap around the pillar. The difficulty is the map, so if they ever want to try and end the game, they're going to have to cross midfield, and if they cross midfield, that's where the Destro and the Fire Mage want them to be. So defensively, I think that Wildcard Gaming will look good, and they might be just praying for some big crits to be able to win the matchup overall with those Earthshock hits. Otherwise, I feel like Method Black should be able to take this. I mean, there has to be a reason that other teams haven't tried the Mage Ellie in the Wizard Mirror in the past, and now they're just doing it because Morrow isn't necessarily, he's not a main Warlock. Otherwise, I think they would have tried that, having seen Jamie have success.
You know what I kind of want to see from Morrow in this match? I don't even know. Well, maybe he should play Greater Power Blast just so he can have it, but I think he should build his character around the short combust and Reaping Flames and just as much instant damage as possible to really take advantage of those deep stages of dampening. I think that's like the best utilization he can find, especially when he's with an Elemental Shaman, because with the Elemental Shaman, it's not going to be about sitting in the open and exchanging blows with the Warlock. It's going to be about picking your moment to all in, look for as much burst damage as possible, then just line of sight outside of those moments.
I agree. I don't know if I want to see the Memory of Lucid Dreams or if I want to see Reaping. I don't know. Memory of Lucid Dreams is kind of nice, but because of that combustion spell steal with Klepto dynamic, it probably will be a lot difficult for both of these mages to get out, big value. So maybe just go Reaping and just play for. I think you have to still play Greater Pyroblast though.
Yeah, you play.
Otherwise, you're just giving up too much of the map to the enemy team. They can basically just run and do whatever they want if there's no threat of GPI.
I wonder. I actually am a little surprised, to be honest, that Raikou isn't playing Frost. I feel like Frost would be comfy. I think just the fact that you have a Warlock is going to force Morrow and Zipai to the pillar a lot more.
Maybe he just watched Alec play Frost and it just didn't look really good. I feel like maybe.
I don't think it looked bad. I mean,
maybe he doesn't want to go to 90.
He doesn't want to go to 90 because dampening to win. Yeah.
Listen, Method Black didn't come to mess around, right? They've got to get some quick games in here.
I don't know if Raikou really has a say and if it's going to 90% dampening or not.
He's playing alongside Swaps.
Yeah. We're playing a Wizard Mirror on Tolvaron Arena. I mean, we're going deep. I think. I mean, Raiku's gonna be looking for a Greater Power Blast. Here's the thing: if we do see some big Greater Power Blast, we do see a big Chaos Bolt, it's possible that the game ends quickly. But with just how high level all these players are, they have so many stops. They're not gonna allow that damage to go off during the earlier stages of the game, and that's why we see it being extended for so long.
Dark Soul popped here for Swapsy. Morrow line of sighting with Temporal Shield. Double Shadow Fury. Ring of Frost interrupted by Zipai. Good shutdown, and it does appear like Raikou and Swapsy are unafraid of Wildcard Gaming at the moment, playing right on top of them. Ring of Peace on Raikou. Morrow in melee range casting Greater Pyro. Gets Polymorph before it can finish. Good denial by Raikou. Raikou now looking for a Greater Pyro. Spell Lock on Morrow to stop his. Hex on Raikou to stop his. It's a game of stop the Greater Pyro. It's a lot of fun for the people stopping it, not so much fun for the mages, but as soon as one of these Greater Pyroblasts does slip through, it could be trouble. Raikou interrupted on his with Counterspell. Morrow interrupted with his on Fear. Both of these mages are going to have an incredibly hard time at this high level of skill in actually completing one of those Greater Pyroblast casts.
Chaz is playing Healing Spears, so anytime Chaz gets crowd controlled, you can expect to see his teammates walk into those little white orbs on the map. You can see one behind Zipai right now, and a big push here onto Looney. He's going to use that Life Cocoon though. Should be fine for now. Raikou looking for a Greater Pyroblast. Gets a nice counterspell onto Morrow. Morrow landing a nice sheep here onto Chaz. Beautiful stuff coming out here, but big damage onto Raikou. No more CC onto Chaz. He has his Life Cocoon. He's not even going to use it. He's just going to go ahead and channel out a couple of Soothing Mists, and that should be enough to stabilize Raikou in that situation. Now Swapsy trying to get that pressure going, trying to build it up. And once again, we got to keep our eyes open for those orbs. I think they want to use them to try to dispel Flame Shock as much as possible. And also, just whenever Chaz is in crowd control, they can use that to just get a little bit of extra healing while he is sitting through that CC. You're also going to have that statue healing somebody. So a lot of passive healing with the setup that Chaz is building. I think he's also running Vitality Conduit, so he has a lot of things to use before he gets CC.
Nice setup here by Raikou, but he does get stopped on it, unfortunately. Double Egg Sweep coming in. As Looney sits some crowd control. Morrow looking like he's going to be okay, using his shimmers to get out of line of sight. Looks like he won't be taking too much damage right now. Chaz actually crossing the map. He's going to be looking to go for a drink, and I mean, that's the one luxury Method Black has with their positioning. Chaz, when he needs to, can sit down for a drink. And the other good thing about Morrow playing, Greater Power Blast and trying to go those as often as possible is he's going to be soaking up the interrupts from Raikou. You can see one spell lock, counter spell likely going to be exchanged from Raikou as well. And that allows Zipai an opportunity to get the lightning lassos, which are going to be really, really nice. I also really like, to be honest, if this game does go deep in dampening and we see Swapsy and Raikou push in, Zipa is going to be able to really utilize that Lightning Lasso. If he can get a Lightning Lasso, you know, at 60-70% dampening, get behind the pillar, and they don't have an interrupt for it, that can just be game-winning outright. So we're definitely going to be looking to see that from Zipa as this game marches deeper and deeper into dampening.
We're seeing the Mage Warlock Overlords challenged for Wizardry Supremacy. Who's going to take it? Will the Ellie Mage have a chance? Raikou out in midfield looking for more Greater Pyros, doesn't find it. Maro trying to look for it as well. Raikou blinks back, and then Maro line of sights to the left. Both teams playing at such a high level, it's going to be very difficult for either side to get any Greater Pyros before dampening, and then dampening will reduce the healing overall. That any damage they do will start to stick, and that's when things are going to start falling apart for each side. Looney rolls out to Chaz. Catching him midfield, potentially a swap to him. Looks like Swapsy's the target at the moment. He nether wards while Chaz is in a stun, reflecting a lot of damage back and denying it. Buying time for Chaz. Now Chaz moves into crowd control Looney. They're trying to go after Maro, but Raikou is falling behind. Zipai is devastating Raikou at the moment. Huge damage. I mean, a situation like that, another 6 minutes from now, could be unrecoverable. I'm starting to be sold that the Ellie Mage has potential in the matchup.
Ellie Mage. The counter 2 Mage lock.
I don't know about the counter.
Ellie Shaman in general seems like a pretty good pick into Mage lock from what we've seen so far today. But yeah, I think having a Warlock on your side is probably going to be a little bit better. Either way though, Wildcard Gaming showing signs of life in a pretty decent position right now. They have all of their defense on their side. So does Method Black right now, except I guess that revival on the side of Looney, had to use that at some point, but it's not a huge deal. It's just kind of an emergency dispel usually, the way you use it. You're going to see a Greater Pyroblast here connecting tomorrow. No, he's going to blink behind the pillar. He's going to be able to avoid that one. Now he's going for one himself, gets polymorphed, gets dispelled. Both of these mages trying to find a Greater Pyroblast. Not going to be able to find it just yet though. And I think it's just, right now, everyone is just trying to get some poke damage going on either side, trying to get a little bit of an edge. But I think the real damage is going to start happening a little bit later in dampening, when all of this poke results in, you know, meaningful damage that actually forces one of the teams to leave the pillar.
Ooh, Maro look for a Greater Power Blast. It's going to be line of sighted. But I just get the feeling, with just how these exchanges are going, that it seems like Wildcard Gaming might actually have the edge as the game goes on. The only thing that concerns me a little bit is that Looney's mana is really going to get taxed, and I don't think he's ever going to be able to drink. It's not really going to be possible. If he can't find a drink, it'll be a miracle. Big setup on Swapsy. Can they just take him down? There's no way. What? Massive burst damage. Beautifully done there by Wildcard Gaming, and that is the execution. I mean, you cannot survive a setup like that in dampening. It is so beautiful to see. Really nicely done there by Wildcard Gaming, but Method Black, they hold on. Raikou looking to strike back, but there's pressure on him. Now Maro, he's getting low. Is it going to be his Ice Block? Is it going to be his Cauterizer? Can Looney connect the Life Cocoon? He does manage to get the Life Cocoon out. Nice setup there by both teams. It's what you like to see.
Signs of life here for both sides on match point. Can Wildcard Gaming take the swing match away from Method Black and have the advantage for a potential Game 5 in the series? It's going to be crucial if they're going to win this series overall, as both sides have so many different strategies to throw at each other. This was one of those curveballs from Wildcard Gaming. It's looking good here. 13% dampening and no unending resolve on Swapsy to trade for a big push. Chaz is very far from the fight at the moment, and it seems like Method Black would rather just play patiently, wait for their defense to be available again, but Chaz gets counterspell. That's devastating. Zipai is tearing in to Swapsy right now. Huge pressure on him with the Lightning Lasso. Barely able to interrupt it in time. Raikou with that blink counterspell, but it might not even matter. Chaz is still locked down in crowd control for one more second. Gets the Life Cocoon off just in the nick of time to stabilize. Now Looney in a fear, but Tremor Totem to remove it. Temporal Shield to soak the hit. Maro bounces right back into the fight. I think that Method Black, we're not anticipating this to be as much of a threat, and it's a threat that they've really probably never seen.
Yeah, that was very, very surprising. That was an excellent setup right there. They got the counterspell, they got the Lightning Lasso onto Swapsy, and they followed it up with a paralyzed leg sweep, Dragon's Breath, almost resulting in a kill right there For the next time that happens, though, Swapsy, I don't think he's going to have his unending resolve, so they could do it one more time. And it looks like they're going for it right now. Looney the Polymorph, Maru in a Paralyzed, though. They're going to shut that down and send Maru back to his side of the pillar. Chaz going to be able to just weather that storm for now. He's going to have his Life Cocoon, so if he can preemptively Life Cocoon, it would be good. But you don't expect the Destrolock team to be the one hugging the pillar. Swapsy trying to res his pet right there. Raikou in a Hex. Triple leg sweep. This could be devastating. Swapsy in huge trouble. There it is. Big Lightning Lasso. But I think, I'm not sure what broke that CC there a little bit early on to Chaz. I think he might have used his human racial.
I think
right
he
there.
did.
I didn't quite see it. So human racial not going to be available for Chaz. But the next time that setup happens, Swapsy will have his unending resolve. But I'm seeing a clear win condition here for Wildcard Gaming, and I'm not seeing it at all for Method Black.
Yeah, Method Black, I mean, they're kind of flailing at this point. There's been massive setups onto Swapsy. He's almost died like 5 times in a row. And for Wildcard Gaming, there's a few moments where Maro's been low health, but never really a super nice setup. It's just kind of random damage coming in from Raikou and Swapsy, and that's why I just think this is one of those matchups. I mean, Wildcard Gaming, they basically set it up perfect where they could potentially turn around on the swing match. Polymorph now into Chaz. Swapsy is going to be interrupted. He's in the midfield right now, and it's a scary situation for Swapsy. He uses the Nether Ward. Vitality Conduit lands from Chaz. Method Black will be able to recover, but they're looking to reposition. Swapsy gates away. Chaz trying to chase him to make sure he's nice and topped off. Raikou looking for some counter pressure with the Greater Power Blast. Gets hexed up on it. Really good control there by Wildcard Gaming.
Maru and Raikou both in midfield, but Raikou is taking the hits. He's trying to get back to the pillar. Swaps the Chaos Bolts Maru. Raikou blinks out of line of sight. Zeepai's moving in. He's right on top of Method Black. He is unafraid. Getting polymorphed, dispelled by Looney. Maru now getting blasted, but he temporal shields. He's going to heal right back to full. Greater Pyro, is there a shutdown for it? They polymorph it. They go in on top of Chaz with the paralyzed. Lightning Lasso around the corner. Beautiful positioning. Excellent execution. Swapsy down at half health. Dragon's Breath to follow it up. He could fall over if he's not careful. Life Cocoon, though, connects just in the nick of time. They hold on to the unending resolve that just became available for them. Swapsy Nether warding a Greater Pyro back at Maru. Swapsy moving in. Raikou double blinking over, looking for that Pyro. He finds it on Maru, but Swapsy's not in a position where he can really help him too much to capitalize on that Greater Pyro. Raikou now polymorph. Maru looks for one. He gets interrupted. He's taking a beating. He's going to line of sight with Looney, but Looney's in a paralyzed. They're stacked up for a double leg sweep. Nice punish by Chaz, but equally so, a Lightning Lasso on Raikou is denying a lot of pressure, but he's out. He's popping the combustion. He's going for the cauterize. Gets denied by the Life Cocoon of Looney. Now Maru trying to get aggressive. Interrupted. We see a counterspell on Swapsy. That means Raikou can free cast. He goes for a Greater Pyro. Zeepai shuts it down with the Grounding Totem. Now Chaz and a Poly. Raikou and a Hex. 3-on-1. Chasing Swapsy around the corner. Is he going to falter here? 5 seconds away from the Life Cocoon. Unending Resolve. Mortal Coil. Desperation for Swapsy to hang in there for one more second. Will he hold out? Triple Dragon's Breath. And he does. The Life Cocoon connects, but all momentum in favor of Wildcard Gaming. They just won't stop. Counterspell on Chaz. They're desperately trying to push them over the edge. They use the Demonic Gateway. They try to kite to safety, but are they really going to be safe over there? Looney, Maru, and Zeepai are moving in.
Oh, they got them in the chokehold position here. Method Black, not a lot of defense. Looney looking for the leg sweep here. Can he find it? He does find a double there. DR onto Swapsy. Raikou in an unfavorable position. Might have to use his Ice Block or at least trigger Cauterize. He gets counterspelled on his Polymorph right there. Going for the Greater Pyroblast. And there it is. Big damage now. Lightning Lasso coming out. Nice Shadow Fury by Swapsy. He's going to snipe Zeepai there and cancel out his Lightning Lasso. That would have surely been Raikou's Cauterize or potentially even Ice Block. Greater Pyroblast, Lightning Lasso was being channeled out there. Now Chaz looking to reverse the pressure here. Nice double leg sweep. Maru in a bit trouble here. But Looney, I think, used also his Human Racial there to break out. And he used his Life Cocoon there to save Maru's cooldowns. Now Maru once again on the aggressive here. Swapsy has no cooldowns left. Any CC onto Chaz could just close out the game. Swapsy gates away, but he's isolated. If they can find something onto Chaz, it'd just be the game. Looney with a beautiful Ring of Peace trying to slow down Chaz before he can transcend in the line of sight. But beautiful disruption there again onto Maru. Gonna shut down the polymorph attempt. And Chaz actually didn't even have his port on that side. So that was a really difficult situation. But Method Black hangs on.
Is there a new King Wizard in town? Is the Elemental Shaman just stepping up and taking over? I mean, this is absolutely insane. Wildcard Gaming, pretty much dominance at this point in the match. Raikou's getting controlled up. And Swapsy, he's just been on the run. He doesn't have that unending resolve for another minute. We're at 50% dampening. Wildcard Gaming, full mana. Chaz falling behind. And it just seems like it is Wildcard Gaming that is the ones that are going to be the aggressors in the match. They're the ones that are able to push in, which is a bit unexpected. Normally, you'd think the Destruction Warlock would keep you at the pillar the entire game, but Wildcard Gaming, they're saying no way. They're going to keep pushing the pace. Lightning Lasso onto Swapsy. Dragon's Breath. Raikou actually getting crowd control. This could be big. If they can get the Ice Block from Morrow, they're cauterized, and they do. So Method Black definitely showing signs of life here. Swapsy gets bursted down. Chaz trades out the Life Cocoon. But the fact that they got that Ice Block, that is a massive victory there for Method Black.
They're behind on mana. They need to do something quick here. Double Shadow Fury. Trying to set up for crowd control. Denied. Raikou now looks for Greater Pyroblast. Is he going to get shut down on this? He finds one on Morrow. That's devastating. Lightning Lasso on Swapsy, though. He's got no unending resolve. If they get any crowd control of Chaz, it's game over. They might not even need it. He holds on by a thread with that Mortal Coil. Chaz gets Polymorph half duration. Dampening's at 55%. Swapsy Nether Ward's on low health. Chaz is still Dragon's Breath. Can they close it out here? There's no cooldowns left. No, the Vitality Conduit is up on Swapsy, bringing him back into the fight. Morrow now needs to retreat. They hex Raikou. Morrow tempts the damage. Morrow looking to retreat along with Looney, but it's a dog pile on the pillar. Nobody's safe here in these close quarters around the corner. Chaz rolling out of line of sight. We see the Infernals dropping from that Vision of Perfection. Swapsy's going to need that extra damage, but Zeepai is just absolutely shredding him time and time again. Another Life Cocoon forced out single-handedly by Zeepai. They could win with the next Lightning Lasso. Swapsy needs to get ready. He's got Unending Resolve to trade. Is he going to make the trade in time? Morrow standing right on top of him boldly with no Ice Block. They need to win with their mana lead, but Looney's in a fear. There's no Tremor Totem. Morrow is stunned up. They have Dark Soul available. Swapsy gets Wind Sheared. Looney's in a Polymorph. Morrow's in trouble. He blinks for the Poly anyway. He goes for the game-winning play rather than running away. Swapsy could fall over if he's not careful. Unending Resolve on very low health at 60% dampening. He may not get away with making those types of trades, but Vitality Conduit brings him back into the fight. Now Life Cocoon trades for Looney on tomorrow. They actually cut through the Life Cocoon. Combustion available basically for both sides. This is going to be an explosive finish.
Yeah, both teams right now could go down at any point here. Morrow has his cauterized, but no Ice Block. He could die through it, and so could Swapsy. No unending resolve for a long time. Chaz, no mana in a full paralyze right here. 63% dampening, and Swapsy is getting destroyed right now. Full polymorph onto Chaz. Can he get more CC? Morrow gets disrupted once again there by the Infernal. Swapsy now activating some of his damage cooldowns here with that Infernal, trying to look for some counter pressure. Morrow running for his life now. Beautiful heals though coming out from Looney. He still has a lot of mana left to work with, whereas Chaz can't really do too much. This game is anybody's game, but it's looking like Wildcard Gaming might be the ones who come out ahead. Beautiful polymorph landed by Morrow. There's the Lightning Lasso. He goes for the Reef. He gets it. There's no way Swapsy survives this, and Wildcard Gaming are gonna take the swing match at 67% dampening.
2-1 Wildcard Gaming versus Method Black. Wildcard Gaming only needs one more win to continue on into the bracket and send Method Black down to the lower bracket. And it just, God, they were putting on so much pressure into Swapsy. They almost had there were a couple defensive trade-offs at the end there, but I mean, they eventually got Swapsy down, Zico.
Yeah, and it felt like they were in the driver's seats for most of the game. Aside from that one point when they forced out Morrow's Ice Block, it didn't really feel like Morrow was that scared for his life. So definitely just a solid performance here from Wildcard Gaming. They've been practicing the Mage Ellie, and it's nice to see that they can answer some of these Mage locks with one of their own Wizard Cleaves.
Yeah, I mean, Morrow used his Ice Block then, and he was still pushing in with quite a bit of pressure. It seemed like he wasn't really worried at all there.
It just seems like, I mean, what we were seeing essentially is that it was more difficult for Swapsy to find damage than it was for Morrow and Zeepai. Zeepai and Morrow, they have a lot more mobility in the matchup. They can push in, they can kind of poke Swapsy when they find the crowd control. They can try to burst him down. Whereas for Swapsy, he's kind of limited. I mean, the Destruction Warlock, it doesn't have the most mobility, and I think Wildcard Gaming, that's what they exploited the most in that matchup, is the fact that Swapsy kind of is a sitting duck on that Destruction Warlock, and if he can't find the damage, he can't find the Chaos Bolts, slowly but surely, later on in the game, 60% dampening, you can see these big setups really start adding up for Wildcard Gaming, and I mean, it was just such an important match for them. They're back in the series, and winning that swing match was absolutely one of the most important things that could have happened for them. Now, I'm curious to see if Method Black goes to a small or a big map, like what they're going to be thinking, because you can bet they did not expect to lose that matchup.
What do you think, Subatees? They've got 40 seconds to lock in a map. What do you think they're going to go with?
I mean, it has to be small map if they want to remove the Warrior Mage as an option. I think Ellie Mage will be easier to deal with if they want to run that Windwalker Death Knight Spite strat that we saw before. So I think small map makes sense for Method Black if this Destro Mage is not going to work for them, which that last game really didn't. They're going for big again. They want to set up the same matchup. Maybe they have a different comp. What would even be a mirror? Swapsy goes over to Ellie instead of Destro.
Oh, I hope so.
I feel
Who
like
wins the
Swapsy's
mirror?
not the. I feel like Swapsy isn't the type that would want to end it on a mirror though if he doesn't have to.
Yeah, it seems like Method Black doesn't really. They try to avoid situations where they're mirroring. Generally.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I think I said it at the beginning of the series. I mean, Swapsy, Method Black, they want to have an edge in the matchup, right? Like, they want to be picking matchups where they are favored to win, not a 50-50. So, yeah, we'll see how they set up Ashermane's Fall. Wildcard Gaming, what are they going to lock in blind? This is actually really weird. Method Black, they went to Ashermane's Fall, so I think Wildcard Gaming is going to be an easy snap pick for them. Mage, Ellie, Mistweaver again. I would be really surprised if that wasn't what Wildcard Gaming decided to play. And then what is Method Black going to do with that?
Windwalker DK?
On the big map? Yeah, they might.
Or they might go Frost Destro.
Do you guys think we're going to see more Ellies locked in against Mage Lock now that we're seeing Wildcard Gaming have such success with this comp?
I mean, it's not just Wildcard Gaming. We saw what happened with Space Station Gaming as well. Elemental Shamans they're good.
Right.
Like, they're really good right now. I think more and more teams are starting to see, kind of the power that they have.
It's because Rogue Mage is just gone. It got deleted by Versatility, Amps, and Conflict and Strife, right? Like, that was the thing that if you locked Ellie, you were getting Rogue Mage, you were gone. Now Rogue Mage can't beat Ellie, so Ellie's like, oh, okay, I'm no longer getting kept in check in the food chain of Arena, so I'm going to start devouring everything now.
Well, while Method Black locks in their composition, we do see now Wildcard Gaming, they've once again locked in that Fire Mage Ellie again. I don't know, it seems like you guys don't generally think Method Black's going to respond with a mirror. Mage Lock maybe is you guys consider that's what they're going to do generally here?
I feel like it's either Mage Lock or Windwalker DK.
What's better? Just purely on a comp basis.
Well, the thing is, we haven't seen this matchup that much, like Mage Lock versus Fire Mage Ellie, but I feel like, in theory, Mage Lock should have the edge, but I feel like Wildcard Gaming played that game insane.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I was Method Black, I don't know if I would want to, because I don't think they've played that matchup much either, so even if they have the edge, if Wildcard Gaming did get practice against Mage Lock, and Method Black doesn't have any practice, if I was Method Black, I wouldn't want to lock that in. I would rather lock in, something else, and they are going to go. Okay, so
We got Waz on the Warrior.
okay, interesting. So they take Wildcard Gaming's main comp, and that's what they're going to play against them. I like that. All right, then.
Okay. All right, so this isn't something that we predicted for Method Black. We've got Waz on the Warrior, Regu again on the Fire Mage, Chaz on the Mistweaver. What do we think about this? I'll open up the floor for anyone that wants to comment on this comp.
I don't know. Method Black. They are going to be locking in Wildcard Gaming's main composition, but I don't know if this is a counter. Like, I don't know. I think Method Black they don't know what to do, basically.
How's this going to work?
I feel like Wildcard Gaming are going to win.
I think Wildcard Gaming are going to win this one, too. I really do.
How's this comp going to do on Ashermane's?
Well, it's so easy to control them. You can just paralyze Chaz, Hex Raikou, Lightning Lasso Waz, kill Waz, and just keep doing it over and over until Waz dies.
Okay, so we think that Waz is going to be the main focus target for Wildcard Gaming.
I think they're going to just drag. Yeah, I think they're going to drag Waz behind the pillars, try to Dragon's Breath sheep him, Nova him, just annoy him, and then just go for Raikou.
Okay, all right. So if we're Method Black, I mean, this is a team, though. They've picked out some comps that are unexpected quite often in series when they end up like this, and they kind of come up with strategies that maybe people didn't predict. So maybe there's something here we don't know. What do we think the Wildcard Method Black's focus target is for Wildcard Gaming?
They're gonna sit on Morrow the whole game, I think. Just try to lock down the mage, try to avoid polymorphs. I think the problem is if they go after Zebai, then it's just going to be really difficult because Morrow's going to have his way with Chaz. He's going to go in, get Dragon's Breath, get Sheeps basically on cooldown, and there's not that much Method Black can do about it. So Waz is going to have to dedicate a lot of his uptime onto Morrow to kind of force him into a position where he cannot find the polymorphs. That being said, what ends up happening is you leave Zebai alone, and believe it or not, Zebai can actually set up his team quite nicely. He can get a Hex onto Chaz, and then he can Lightning Lasso Raikou. So he can kind of set up that way. The Lightning Lasso denies the decurse, and they might be able to find some damage that way.
Do you guys agree with this decision with Method Black? I mean, should they have just stayed on Mage Lock and maybe tried that again? I mean, we are on Ashmanes here. It seems like they would have just done better on this map with that comp.
The way I look at it is, if you know that their wizard comp is better than, or beats your wizard comp, why would you pick Ashamans in the first place?
Yeah.
So if you want them to lock in the wizard comp because you're very confident in that you have an answer, that's the only reason why you would go for the slant of play. So obviously Method Black, not only do they think they're going to win, but they feel extremely confident because they put themselves in this situation. They could have just locked in Tiger's Peak and Wildcard Gaming would have to be left guessing. But instead, they were like, we're going to pick the biggest available map and make you lock in your Wizard Cleave again. So if Method Black doesn't win here, it's going to look a little bit silly.
Okay, well, they only have one more game to hopefully tie this up against Wildcard Gaming. It is Wildcard Gaming versus Method Black 2-1.
Waz is already at half health. He literally charged to the mage, and this is what I thought they would do. Hex, Paralyze, Lightning Lasso, and just KO the warrior, drag him around in circles. Lingering Psychic Shell gets cut through. He's just going to die on match point.
How is he dead?
I swear I thought it was a bulletproof strategy. You've got guaranteed crowd control on 3 targets, and a warrior that has to run out into the middle of nowhere to try and attack somebody.
Oh. It's Morrow's Memory of Lucid Dreams. I mean, if they don't shut down the Memory of Lucid Dreams, and they actually can't, if they hex Raikou, if they hex Raikou, Morrow can just absolutely obliterate Waz. Unbelievable. I mean, Waz is getting absolutely destroyed in this matchup, and I just feel like Wildcard Gaming, they just get in Method Black's head, honestly. Method Black, I mean, it seems like they're never really sure what to do against this team. Their blind pick looked really, really good. For some reason, they're not confident in locking it again, even though it was the most convincing matchup I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know why they're not just playing the Windwalker Death Knight again. Maybe they feel like that strategy won't work or something, but yeah, Method Black right now with this Warrior Mage Monk, they're struggling, but it's definitely not over yet. Waz can survive. Chess has a lot of defense for him. Fear going to be coming out onto Looney as Waz and Raikou looking to make an offensive push here onto Morrow. But in 50 seconds, when we see Morrow's Combustion get off cooldown, that's going to be when Wildcard Gaming has that overwhelming momentum and push. And I don't know if Waz is going to really have a solid response for it.
Ooh, Raikou activating his Combustion right there, gets clapped dead, Morrow cancels it, and that was that. Now, Vitality Conduit is going to bounce him up. Ooh, Song of GG comes out here onto Looney. Let's see if they can cut through that Life Cocoon. Morrow still just at full HP here. The Cocoon's finally going to fade. Blinks towards his healer. And I think Looney should have no problems here stabilizing his mage. He is a little bit worried. I think he just actually... No, Raiku's counterspelled Morrow, so... Looney was a little bit worried of getting interrupted there, but he is going to be fine now. Song of GG coming out onto Chaz. And let's see now, Waz could be in a lot of trouble. Activating that War Banner, though, reducing the length of that crowd control, keeping himself alive. But the next Paralyzed Song, or if Morrow can sneak in a Polymorph, could be big. What? They didn't even
That's not even the go, dude. Now. That's not even the go. If they get a full Polymorph, I mean, how is he going to live? They're kind of panicking. They're doing their go a little bit too early. I feel like they've got this in the bag. Just Grounding Totem, Hex Raikou, go for Paralyze, Leg Sweep Chaz, Lightning Lasso, Combustion with Lucid Dreams. Waz is dead. Just literally just pause for a second, chill out, and get that. And then you win the game. It's 50 more seconds. There's Poly, there's Lightning Lasso, there's Hex. This should be the game. Unless Raikou blocks it, and he's not blocking it, Waz is going to die. Wildcard Gaming closed it out with clinical crowd control and precise cooldown usage, 3-1.
I mean, that was really dominant by Wildcard Gaming, honestly.
Sometimes my strats are good. Okay. They're
No,
good.
it was good. It was definitely the right strategy, but that
100%.
Wildcard Gaming just straight up outplayed Method Black in this series. I